Your honors and colleagues, esteemed colleagues, we'd like to, on behalf of the Philippine Judiciary, we'd like to thank the Supreme Court of Pakistan, the Federal Judicial Academy of Pakistan, and the UN Women Pakistan for inviting the Philippine Judiciary to give us this platform to share our experiences, lessons learned, best practices, and ways forward in terms of gender mainstreaming in the Philippine Judiciary. I have a lot of slides, but I'll really try to breeze through it. In the Philippine context, we have it in our Constitution. The state recognizes the role of women in nation building and shall ensure the fundamental equality before the law of women and men. The Philippine Women Judges Association has been a formidable game changer when it comes to gender mainstreaming. We have also been affiliated with the International Association of Women Judges. We have the Court of Appeals Associate Justice, who was the first Filipino IAWJ president in 1994. Then we have Chief Justice Teresita Leonardo de Castro, who was the first female Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and the first female Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines to have become the IAWJ. And as I said, the Philippine Women Judges Association has been a collective game changer to mobilize support for women's rights, promote solutions for promote solutions to gender bias, and propose solutions to gender inequality. Some contributions of the PWJA in the delivery of justice. We have the mandatory continuous trial, especially for family court judges, the black robes for women judges, black robes for all judges, and the introduction of technology in the court. Women representation in the Philippine Judiciary. This is our present composition of the Supreme Court. We have 2 women justices in the Supreme Court, the 15 incumbent justices. That's the 15 complement. We have Justice Amy Lazaro Javier, who is now the president of the Philippine Women Judges Association and the vice president of the IAWJ. Then we have Justice Maria Filomena Singh, who is also a good friend of our esteemed Justice Shah, and who is now the executive vice president of the PWJA and the regional director for the IAWJ Asia Pacific. This is now what you can see is a composition of the male and female when it comes to appellate courts. Interestingly, we have 3 collegiate appellate courts. We have the Court of Appeals, which is an appellate court of general jurisdiction. And interestingly, we have 30 women justices out of 68 incumbent justices. But we have a female presiding justice. In the Sandigan Bayan, we have 9 women justices out of 21 incumbent justices, and we have a female presiding justice. But for the Court of Tax Appeals, we have 7 women justices out of 9, which is quite interesting, very high. But the presiding justice is a male justice. For the first and second level courts, and I am in the second level court, which is, I think, to my mind, is the equivalent of your district court, we have 44% men and women judges 56, which we are proud of in terms of the first and second level courts. But as we go up to the higher echelons of the judiciary, that is where it's dwindling. All right. And with that, the Chief Justice now, Chief Justice Alexander Hesmundo, has realized the importance of gender mainstreaming in the judiciary. So the Supreme Court now has come up with a strategic plan for judicial innovations, a 5-year plan, and we have given some, Justice Shah, a copy of that, a printed copy of that. And this was introduced through the leadership of Justice Hesmundo. It's a blueprint of action for judicial reform, and it aims to achieve the aspiration of delivering responsive and real-time justice. Among these guiding principles are timely and fair justice, transparent and accountable justice, equal and inclusive justice, technology adaptive justice. And also one of its outcomes is access to justice. This is a very interesting legal feminism study in Philippine gender jurisprudence. This was prepared by Supreme Court Associate Justice Singh, and we'll be very much willing to share with you this entire study, because this was really the platform when it comes to gender mainstreaming in the Philippine judiciary. I'll just breeze through the slides, but we will be sharing with you the study on this. So it involved a review of 153 Supreme Court decisions from 2006 to 2022, focused on 7 key areas: gender fair language, marriage and family, LGBTQIA+, rape, violence against women and children, and sexual harassment. Just to focus on that, according to Justice Singh, we cannot achieve gender equality without first having gender sensitivity. I'll just breeze through that. And the PWJA and the gender revolution in the Philippine justice system. How did that PWJA as a collective game changer? What have we been doing? So we have the Bangkok General Guidance for Judges in applying a gender perspective. We have the National Judicial Dialogue on Access to Justice for Women with development partners. And then we also have annually the celebration of the Women's Month in March, and the International Day of Women Judges. And in this month, we all wear the color purple, which is supposed to represent women. So we do this for the entire month of March throughout the entire judiciary, including court personnel. Then we have also the annual celebration of the Pride Month in the month of June. This inclusivity cuts across all genders. Again, it's also mainstream throughout the entire judiciary, not just for judges and justices, but also for court personnel. The Her Story Award is a gender award of distinction. This is an annual campaign, a search for women, lady judges and justices, their story on how they were able to break the glass ceiling. We want to sustain this Her Story campaign, which I think also is an equivalent of what you're trying to do now in terms of the gallery of women champions. And what we want to do is to be able to expand the visibility of women judges and justices in order to counter whatever gender bias or gender prejudices that the society may have, and in order for us to be able to push the boundaries and be able to campaign for more gender parity in the higher echelons of the judiciary, especially for the appellate courts and the Supreme Court. We have the link here. I will be able to share the PowerPoint with you. The Co-Impact Program of the IAWJ and PWJA, we have not only been trying to advocate this among lady judges and justices, but we've also been doing that in terms of the correctional facilities. So the lady judges and justices have been visiting correctional facilities and training correctional officers, especially the women correctional officers, as well as skills, capacity building, skills training, and the products or output of this Women Deprived of Liberty. We showcase and highlight this in our convention, the PWJA and the IAWJ. So these are just some of the projects. Ways forward, other pathways. We have the mental well-being. We now have a hotline in terms of mental wellness, not just for judges and justices, but also for court personnel. We have the continuing judicial education through the Philippine Judicial Academy, mentoring that was also mentioned a while ago. We have that. Child minding centers, and now we're trying to introduce now technology-driven justice system, including the introduction of artificial intelligence as a tool for research, not for purposes of replacing the human mind in terms of decision making, but only as a tool for research for our court attorneys as well as for the magistrates. Lastly, We have a 5-year program now with the IAWJ. We call it the Women in Leadership in the Law. And this is a 5-year program which aims to promote gender parity, to assess the policies of selection and promotion, especially for the judicial making bodies and commissions. What we found and identified as the bottleneck in terms of the selection and nomination of more female judges in the higher ranks, in the appellate courts and in the Supreme Court, is the Judicial and Bar Council, which is the gatekeeper in terms of selection and nomination of judges. We found out that there is really no gender parity in terms of the composition of the JBC, and what we are doing now is to be able to create a coalition among civil society, the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, and other women organizations to be able to promote gender parity in the Judicial and Bar Council. In that way, we will be able to encourage more transparency in the selection and nomination, as well as be able to have influence more in terms of being able to have gender parity in the selection and nomination of the short list of candidates that will be submitted to the Executive Department for the appointment of the magistrates in the Appellate Court and in the Supreme Court. And lastly, we extend the Her Story campaign to advocate the stories, the testimonies of women judges and their divergent career directions. To cap this up, may I just quote from Justice Javier: "We may come from different parts of the world, speak different languages, and have different cultures, but our battles are aligned. It is a battle for recognition, for acceptance, for equal opportunities, to be allowed to take up the space, speak up and be heard, to be seen and recognized, and not only to live, but to thrive. We may be exhausted, but we are never defeated. That is our true female resilience." With that, thank you.